In the Anchor Forest on a bright morning, Juni was born. He was the firstborn of the youthful and exuberant monkey named Joni, who was a member of a sizable colony. Although Joni was overjoyed to have a child, she was also anxious and unsure of how to care for him. She frequently sought to the other moms in her troop for advice, but they were preoccupied with their own kids and paid her little mind. Like his mother, Juni had an inquisitive and daring nature. He enjoyed discovering new things in his environment. Except for the loud noises that occasionally emanated from the surrounding temple, he had no fear of anything. What were those noises, and why did they make his mother and the other monkeys so scared? Juni discovered something one day that he had never seen before. Strange creatures with 2 legs and shiny things in their hands comprised the group. They had various physical characteristics. Some had light skin and hair, others had dark complexion and hair, and some wore colorful headgear and clothing. Although they were creating sounds that appeared to be words, Juni was unable to interpret them. These animals captivated Juni's attention. He wished to approach them and observe their actions. He saw that they were occasionally pointing other monkeys and creatures in the forest, as well as at him and his mother, with their bright items. He questioned the nature of those items and their motives for being drawn to him. Juni chose to adhere to them. He and his mother were relaxing in a tree when he descended from the tree and crept up behind them. He took care to avoid making noise or drawing their notice. He observed that they were moving towards the direction of the temple, the source of the commotion. Juni had a wave of anxiety and exhilaration. He was interested in visiting the temple, but he was also mindful of his mother's advice to avoid it. After a brief period of hesitation, he chose to follow his interest. He kept pursuing the weird animals in the hopes that they would ignore him. He observed that the temple was a huge stone structure as he approached it. It featured a lot of sculptures and structures that resembled gods and animals. Monkey sculptures may be seen on the walls and gates that surrounding it. These engravings made Juni feel as though they were his forefathers. He also saw that the temple was filled with numerous people. Orange was being worn by several of them. They were wearing robes, shaving their heads, and chanting and praying. Some of them were conversing and taking photographs while donning brightly colored clothing and caps. Some of them were yelling and haggling while hawking food and trinkets. Juni was in awe of this scene. He had never previously witnessed such a large gathering of people. He was curious in their activities and daily routines. He also saw that a large metal object flying in the sky was the source of the loud booms. It moved with a roaring sound and had wings and propellers. While some visitors to the temple were staring at it in amazement and dread, Juni saw that others were either ignoring it or snapping photographs of it. Juni was frightened by this thing. He was unaware of its nature or potential uses. A sudden impulse to flee it and return to his mother and home overcame him. Within a forest, he heard a voice behind him, though, before he could do that, when Juni turned back, he spotted one of the weird animals he had been tracking. It was a man with fair complexion and hair who was dressed in a brown vest and a green hat. He pointed a large camera at Juni while holding it in his palm.